So, Senator Warner, thank you for being here with us. Tonight is what some people might more recognize as a State of the Union. It's technically called like the address to the joint session or
Right.
something. How are the vibes right now? How are you feeling?
It's like it's kind of holy crap.
Mm.
You got America now switching sides after 70 years and say, you know what? Those democracies around the world, we don't really like them that much. We'd rather be with Russia, Iran, North Korea, China. But I would think, anybody that follows any of this stuff has got to say, hey, I thought we were hiring this guy to try to bring down prices. That's not what
That's what he
he's been
said. Day one,
Yep.
the prices will be down. Day one, the country will be safe.
He has intimidated the heck out of so many of my Republican senators. I get criticized a lot for trying to be bipartisan because I do think, at the end of the day, you can pass something bipartisan. But man, these guys and gals that I work with, they are so afraid.
What are they afraid of?
Well, they're afraid, frankly, you get blasted by Elon and his boys. I've had senators say, I got to go out and hire, security to protect my family. That should not be the price of having to be in politics, People broke. I think that, my Republican friends are going to break a lot earlier, I hope, because the damage, you can't undo this stuff. And like you fire, like one of the crazy things that happened, the Doge Bros come in and they start releasing information that's classified. But I don't want some 22-year-old coder deciding what should be classified and what should not be classified. And I just feel like at some point, things are going to change, but the damage that's getting done, it's not like when Musk came in and fired a bunch of people at Twitter.
From the CIA perspective, I mean, we talk about this in the military community as well, like the amount of money that goes into training a soldier up to be anything at all is millions of dollars. Like, what kind of money do you think it's costing the United States to lose 200 CIA agents? Like, what kind of investment's already been made in them?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a security
if
clearance,
not millions,
to send you through or millions. Although I guess we shouldn't worry, since Trump now has said, we are going to lay down in front of Russia. This is supposed to be the great negotiator. So I will bet you, and I think there will ultimately be some accountability on this, that at least net so far, we have cost the taxpayers much more money than any kind of savings.
I mean, this is the man who bankrupted 4 casinos, right? So not necessarily the best business guy, not necessarily the most fun to work for. But do you see like a limit in place? You got to be in the elevator with people ready to shake them. Like, come on, man, we can't lay down for Russia.
I'm like begging. I think people, like what they say in privately, there's got to be a break. I mean, or the fact is the country's not going to come back. These are things you can't just say, oops, we made a mistake.
From like an intelligence perspective, how cooked do you think we are when it comes to security, safety? People are worried about their data privacy. I mean,
like data, we know that, data is the equivalent of money.
Right.
So we ought to be worried of it. And, our intelligence services are the best in the world. But we get about 50% of our intelligence service from, other allies, from other countries, the Brits, the Canadians. He threatened to throw the Canadians the other day out of what's called the Five Eyes Partnership. It's going to make America weaker.
The president is never more powerful than he is on his first day. And really that first 100 days is when we see that shock and awe, that straight out the gate, like totally overwhelm your system. We can't sustain this pace. He's done a lot of the horrible stuff he's going to do is already out there on the table. It's just up to us to continue to keep it in the courts and win there and continue to push back and be brave.
We just got to hope but listen, hang in. We can get through this.
Will. Hey, what's going on, Senator Padilla? Good to see you.
How you doing? As soon as my friend here's done, we'll take it.
All right.
Thank you, Senator Mark Warner. Don't ban TikTok. Everybody's watching. Senator Padilla, so good to see you. How are you?
Likewise. And indulge me. Let me introduce my guest tonight.
Yes,
for
please.
The presidential address. Happens to be a personal friend of mine, Captain Frank Lima from the Los Angeles Fire Department. He's here to help me remind the president, our Republican colleagues, of what Los Angeles has gone through this year. Now, you asked what we expect to hear from the president. Sadly, given his history, we're going to hear a lot of lies, a lot of misrepresentation. Then what we're not going to hear about is his ideas or plans for improving the economy, bringing down the cost of food, the cost of housing. Right? There's so many people in the country right now that are further away from being able to retire because of what Donald Trump is doing.
What are the vibes like in the Capitol right now? Is it tense? Are people getting excited? Like, how are you feeling?
And sadly, it's almost like, well, what side of the aisle are you on?
Oh, really? It's that bad?
Republicans are pumped up. They're feeling really good right now, for the most part. Sadly, it's been
Even
my
without
biggest
their budget passed, they're feeling good.
well, it's been my biggest disappointment. Like, I'm not surprised by what Trump is doing. We've known him for a long time. This is not a shock. I'm not surprised at who he selected to serve in his cabinet because it's a reflection of him. But I am surprised and disappointed that there's not more Republicans in Congress standing up to the overreach, standing up to the illegal maneuvers, standing up to the damage that he's doing to the country.
Do you have a quick second to address some of the questions in the comments here? People are wondering, like, what's happening with Social Security?
That's certainly a concern. But look, this budget resolution that was passed, the House passed theirs last week, that lays out the framework for how they want to tackle the budget. Cuts of things like Social Security, Medicare, the whole Department of Education, and more. Why? What are they going to do with that quote unquote savings? It's not savings, it's cuts to our livelihoods. They want to fund tax breaks for their billionaire buddies. That's what's going on here. Follow the money.
Thank you, Senator, for being with us, for chatting with us.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
See you later. Good luck tonight. Senator Heinrich, what's going on? Good to see you again.
Great to see you.
What are the vibes like on the Hill right now?
So for the first time since I first got elected in 2008 to the House of Representatives, spent 4 years there, served through the first Trump administration in the Senate. I'm not going to be there tonight. And I made that decision because I simply, I don't want to normalize this presidency. It's that far out of the box.
That's what a lot of people wanted to see. They, there's kind of a split. Some people want to see the Democrats disrupt the speech. Other people want to see them just not show up and recognize it as like it's normal or what's going on. I'm glad to hear that you're not attending. I mean, to come in and pardon all the January 6ers, many of them who have gone on to reoffend, some of them have gone on to unfortunately be, killed after being pardoned or rearrested, to say we're not going to enforce cybersecurity monitoring against Russia and whatnot. Like, as a reasonable person, how do you get through the day up there? Like, it's got to be difficult bumping into people in the elevators and in the stairwells and whatnot. Like, is there any kind of like behind the scenes camaraderie we can hope for from people to stand up against this?
We only need 3 House members, 3 Republican House members, 4 Republican senators, and suddenly there are guardrails on this presidency. But I think it's going to take people realizing how bad the economy is trending, how he is really supersizing inflation.
Tax season is coming up. People are like, do I pay my taxes? I'm like, yes, you have to still pay your taxes. But like, any insight on what's going on in the IRS? They must be freaking out over there. They must be scared.
Well, my advice too would be, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to
pay your taxes. Do not put a target on your back by not doing that. Unfortunately, IRS is going to be way down in terms of the number of people who can help you do that correctly. And that's a huge and unfortunate situation, because I know we help folks all the time who get stuck trying to get the right answer from IRS. And that's only going to get worse. If you're one of these folks like Elon Musk and his friends, you have plenty of people to be able to get you the best tax treatment the law and maybe pushing the law a little bit can allow. So it really hurts the folks at the low end of the spectrum.
Thank you again for chatting with us. 2-time champion on the Substack Live. Bye. Hey, Senator Van Hollen, what's going on?
Hey, V. Oh, man, I'm preparing for a really rough night. But anyway, it's really good to be with you.
Who's your guest tonight?
My guest is Skye Perryman, and she is the head of Democracy Forward. And Democracy Forward has been the tip of the spear in all of these cases to end the spree of illegal and unlawful actions by Musk and Trump.
That's awesome. What was the goal in that?
The goal is to send the message that we will fight these illegal actions and this great betrayal in the courts, in Congress, and in communities around the country. And you've been seeing, some of these Republican House and Senate members going to these town hall meetings, and they are being confronted now with the truth. Trump said he was going to bring down prices day one. Now, instead of bringing down prices, he has unleashed Elon Musk on this illegal chainsaw spree to cut services important to the American people.
I know a lot of us get it. They want to cut these services to fund tax breaks for billionaires, but could you like maybe explain that to me like I'm five, like a little bit more? Just explain to me like how cutting Medicaid would pay for billionaire tax breaks.
Yeah. So on the one hand, they're going to pay for some of that additional deficit and debt by cutting things like Medicaid. I mean, the House bill, they're playing hide the ball, but if you do the math, it looks like about $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid, right? So this is for people in nursing homes. This is for people with disabilities. This is for lower income people, babies, a lot of kids. Yeah. And so that's just one way. They also want to pay for it by dismantling or dramatically cutting the SNAP program. These are the food and nutrition programs. And even after that, they're still going to have a big deficit and debt. So they're both going to cut programs that help families around the country, but that won't be enough. And then they're going to pretend they didn't increase the deficit, which, by the way, will drive up interest rates.
How do you like keep your hope up? Like, what are you doing for like staying resilient and strong in your like mental fortitude right now?
Well, I appreciate that question because, my view is that it's rough. I mean, it really.
Yeah.
So I do believe that we have to push back and we have a duty to push back. And I take hope in some of these town halls we were talking about that around other parts of the country, right? Where people are showing up and they're confronting their Republican senators and House members with questions like, why are you screwing the veterans in this country? And they don't have an answer. They're literally, I'm sure you've seen these tapes. They're like,
they're running away.
Oh, sorry, I got another meeting. So I think that will continue to build, and it has to build. And see you
Thank you, Senator. Good luck
Eddie
tonight.
Markey.
Senator Markey, what's going on?
Hey, V.
Hey, what's happening? We're here live on TikTok. Now that Elon Musk and the Muskrats are like all up in every single piece of data in private security, folks are less worried about the TikTok ban than they were when we last met. I even had Senator Warner first, and I was like, please don't ban TikTok. He's like, we have bigger things to do right now. So I was like, you know what? Maybe there is a light at the end of every horrible tunnel.
Well, when 170 million Americans are on TikTok, when 7 million small businesses are on TikTok, and there is a way to balance national security versus the First Amendment. Why wouldn't we take that route instead of just absolutely from the get-go saying that TikTok is gone? So we have a shot now.
We need the TikTok to keep people accountable. We can't shut down any kind of window into what's going on here. So I appreciate you being like, tip of the spear on that for us. You've been so just like really good listener and such a great champion. Who did you bring as your guest tonight? Did you bring a guest?
Well, I brought Chrissy Lynch, the first woman president of the AFL-CIO of Massachusetts.
Very good.
They're laying off so many union workers. So I thought that I would have her sit up there bearing witness and letting Trump know he's in for a fight because she is incredible. She is just one tough, opponent to have in your life. So I have Chrissy Lynch sitting up there.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing a labor organizer because, Massachusetts, when they bring out the labor, like that's going to be it. You're not going to win that fight. I was in, I have a fellowship at Harvard, so I was in Massachusetts this week. And just the chatter around town is very focused on like state pride and how we're not going to stand for this. Is there anything in particular you're going to be listening for tonight, or just sort of like across the board, you're like, look, this man's going to lie to you, and then we'll get back to work tomorrow?
He's going to bring this pugnacity tonight, and we just have to take it as a challenge to respond to him, because it's not one issue, it's not two, it's every issue. They harbor an ancient animosity towards everything that the progressive movement has won, from Social Security to Medicare to Medicaid to same-sex
Civil
marriage
rights,
to the EPA. Every one of these things they opposed at that time. And they think that they're going to be able to repeal history. And we just have to not make it possible for them ultimately to do it. I just keep telling people, Trump is bringing out the Malden in me. He's bringing out my kitchen table growing up. Okay, you want to fight? I'm ready to fight you.
I'm telling you, I've said more swear words than I've ever said. In the last couple of weeks, they're like, V, I thought you were so wholesome. I was like, I was, man. But that New England is in there, okay? I was raised in New Haven County. Like, it's in there, okay? You can't mess with our people. That triggers something in us. I appreciate you, Senator, always. Thank you for being out there for us and bringing the Massachusetts heat.
So how are you feeling tonight, Pete?
I'm feeling great. I think there's a lot to be proud of with the work that we're doing right now. And I think there's a lot that has broken up old systems and old maybe ways of thinking. And folks realize now, like, people want to see the heat, and I know that you guys want to give it. So I hope that you feel as sort of like unburdened by what has been before.
I am ready to go. So waste, fraud, and corruption. Yeah, root that out.
Hey there, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing wonderful. And
welcome.
I have a guest with me as well.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Excellent.
Good to see you. So, Senator, who's your guest tonight?
So I have with me tonight Otis Johnson, who is Vice President, AFGE, one of the American Federation of Government Employees, who represents many of our civil servants, who, as you know, have been unceremoniously fired, intimidated, silenced, etc. And so,
thank you for being here, Mr. Johnson. What kind of stories are you hearing from people about these firings and how they're affecting folks in your state?
People are being laid off. People are looking for other ways to make ends meet. And people are just nervous and scared because of the uncertainty of the everyday happenings on their jobs. They don't know what's going to happen next, if they're going to be ripped or laid off or even terminated.
And, you know, a third of our workforce are veterans.
Talk a little bit more about that, because Trump's lawyer earlier today said maybe some of these veterans don't need jobs. Maybe they haven't earned their jobs. Maybe they weren't working hard enough, and that's why they were getting fired.
I am a veteran myself.
Thank you, sir.
It's hard to hear people diminish the work and the things that we've done coming into this type of program that this administration is doing. You're talking about someone that has served this country proudly.
Yeah, it is shameful. I've had people stop by our offices, and we're talking about civil servants who are professionals, many of whom have worked for decades, and these are patriots. And the reason we can't believe Elon Musk or Donald Trump about their intention to do this in the name of efficiency is because their first act was to ask people to quit. That does not sound like the actions of a person who's interested in efficiencies.
When you were running for Senate, did you think this is what it would be like?
Well, you know what? I knew I'd be fighting for Marylanders and fighting for our families and Americans, and so I don't know that this was exactly what I expected. I was kind of hoping for a different partner.
Yes.
You know what? But be that as it may, here we are. I'm doing my part. Mr. Johnson is doing a great job of representing those who are in this, unfortunate witch hunt against our federal employees. But we're going to do our best. We're using every tool we have to fight, and we will not be intimidated.
There's a lot of folks who are at home right now struggling with taking in all this information and feeling like they could find hope. Like, where do you find hope?
Well, for me, I've always had the passion of helping people. I hate to see anyone hurt, and I hate to see things done to people, especially to the least ones that can't defend themselves, or the ones that want to speak but don't have that voice to go out and speak for themselves.
You know, it was Dr. King who said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And I believe that. You know, that no matter what we're seeing in this moment, I still believe in the rule of law. But I do believe that maybe this will take longer than we intend. But I believe that we're going to have fairness and justice, that the rule of law will prevail. And I think that's the role of a leader. We have to be able to believe that better is coming. I really do. And I'm going to fight like everything to make sure that the people that I represent have the best that we can offer them. And we won't stop until that is the case.
I can see in the comments here, people are so excited. I know you got to go down to the floor.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks so much. We'll see you later. Bye, friends.
I'm so glad to see you.
Hey, what's going on, pal? Good to see you again.
I know. I'm honestly, here's what I'm thinking.
Tell me.
Like,
what's up?
There's like a million places. Tonight's my birthday.
Oh my gosh, happy birthday.
So there are
better ways to spend
if I
it.
were to make a list of the things that I want to do on my birthday, listening to Donald Trump is not on the list.
The thing that folks are asking me most for tonight is, how are you finding hope and resilience? Like, what are you working for? How are you fighting like burnout, Like, maybe you have some advice for folks.
I mean, first of all, it's a fight. And anybody who tells you that it's just like as easy as pie is just not being real. I mean, it's a fight. And the other thing I really try to hold on to is understanding that like their whole strategy is to wear us down and to exhaust us and to make us feel like we don't have any power to change what happens. But the other thing that keeps me going is my friend Elizabeth Warren, who is joining me right now.
Elizabeth Warren,
here, tag team wrestling.
I know. So, here, pull in Elizabeth. So we can both
These are my faves.
I mean, Elizabeth hardly ever runs out of energy, but in the moments when she does, then I'm like, come on, let's go, girl.
You bet. This is why we say over and over to people, never underestimate the power of organizing. Magnifies your voice, but it also gives you buddies who say, oh, come on, tired? You're better than that.
Wherever you're sitting, whether you're in your neighborhood or whether you're in your town or in the United States Capitol, like you got to be in it, and you got to be there to make trouble. Elizabeth and I are both troublemakers, and we're making some trouble tonight.
Yeah. What do you think about tonight? What are the vibes? How are you feeling? Like, what do you think's going to happen? How do we deal with this?
I guarantee I'll go money on this. Okay. And that is, we will not hear Donald Trump discuss his plan to reduce the cost of groceries. We will not hear him talk about his plan to bring down the cost of healthcare. We will not hear him talk about his plan to make it easier to buy a home or rent an apartment. And
childcare. We're not going to hear
his plan about how he's going to make sure that everybody has opportunity. And the reason we're not going to hear about those plans is because they do not exist.
Not even a concept.
What makes that particularly puts it into the bait and switch category is that he ran for office saying over and over and over, right? What was it? On day one.
On day one. Lower prices on day one. That's right.
Said he was going to do that. We are now 6 weeks in, and he has actually affected prices.
That's right. So the one thing that he has done to affect prices is actually to drive the prices up. And oh, by the way, he's doing it by attacking our best friends in the process, Canada. And Mexico.
Right.
Aren't you embarrassed? I could see Canada from my front porch up here in Rochester, New York. And I'm like, guys, it's not us. Please just keep the Great Lakes region and New England.
That's right. Donald Trump is not everybody in the United States. And there are a lot of good people with good hearts. And we are in this fight to make our country better align with our values. And that we really are committed to do that.
Yep.
And you believe we can do it? It's not too late.
Exactly right.
He hasn't done too much damage.
All the stuff that Donald Trump and Elon Musk, co-presidents, have done during the last 6 weeks is like throwing sand in the air as much as they can. So 1 minute we're talking about renaming the Gulf of Mexico. The next minute we're talking about annexing Greenland. But you know what that is actually a smoke screen or a sand screen for? It's to hide the fact, hoping nobody will notice, that what's really going on is right here in Congress.
Do you think when we get power back, some of those more progressive values that you've been espousing for all these years, we actually have a shot at? Because folks will be like, listen, we can't come back a little bit. We got to come back a lot.
We got to come back all the way.
Right. I mean, this takes courage, but I think that people in this building need to understand. I mean, in my mind, this isn't a left versus right issue or left versus center issue. This is all about whose side you're on.
Yeah.
Are you on the side of people, or are you on the side of the big institutions and the powerful players that have been calling the shots for too long? I mean, when I'm at home in Minnesota, the progressive idea of affordable childcare for everyone is something that everybody believes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to go. Okay. All right.
Oh, you got to go. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll talk to you all again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.